Hello, welcome to this beginner's Scratch tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to be using the latest version of Scratch, Scratch 3, to show you how you can create a nice easy game where you go around, collect the donuts. For each donut you collect you get a point, but there are also some evil owls here that are going to try and chase you if you get too close to them, and if you get caught then it will be game over and it will say you're dead, and then it will tell you your score. There you go. So let's get started. First thing you need to do is get yourself onto the Scratch website, which you can Google, and create yourself an account by just going sign up. Once you've signed up, then we click on create and you can create your first project. There we go. Now we're not going to need Scratch here today himself, so we'll get rid of Scratch. There we go. But what we will do is we'll go down here, choose a sprite, and we'll go choose a sprite. There we go. Now, and it will give you some options of the different sprites you can choose. You can choose whichever one you want. But today I'm going to use the Beetle. So we'll click on Beetle. There he is. Good stuff. There's my Beetle. And the first thing we're going to get the Beetle to do is to walk around the screen. And when you press the left arrow, it turns left. When you press the right arrow, it turns right. So let's get started. Click on Events. And on Events, we're looking at the when start click, when the green flag is clicked, and we're going to use a forever loop because it's going to keep going forever until we get eaten. And what we'll say here is we'll say okay, if the left arrow is pressed, then so let's go to sensing. Here we go, left arrow pressed. There you go. So we're looking for this one here, key something pressed. We'll change that to left arrow. If the left arrow is pressed, what we will do is we'll go back to the motion and we will turn 15 degrees. We'll change that to about half that. Let's put it at 7 degrees. So if the left arrow is pressed, we'll turn 7 degrees left. Right click. If you right click here, you can duplicate. Get rid of the 7 degrees left. We'll put 7 degrees right. And we'll put the right arrow. There you go. So now, if I press the green flag, let's just have a quick go. There you go. So our Beetle is now turning around, which is brilliant. That's okay. And we also want him to walk forwards slowly. So let's get him walking forward. And the way we could do that is we could just do move. There we go. And we'll change that to however many steps. There you go. So now, there we are. So there's our Beetle, and the beginning of the game, nice and simple. All it does is it's got a loop here, and each time it goes round the loop inside this forever loop, if that's pressed, if the left is pressed, you turn left 7 degrees, if the right is pressed, right degrees, and then after it's done all the turning, it will move. So that's a nice simple loop, and it starts at the beginning of the game when we press start. Good, there we go. Brilliant. So now what we're going to do is we need to say, okay, let's get this, let's get our little Beetle here to start animating. And in order to animate him, really, what we're going to do is he's going to change his costume. So if we click here on our Beetle and we click on costumes, there you go. At the moment, he's only got one costume, but we're going to need to have 2 costumes for this Beetle. So what we do here is we right click on the Beetle here and we duplicate. So we've got 1 costume, 2 costumes. There we go. And all we're going to do here is on the second costume, where his legs are facing this way, if his legs are facing forwards, we're going to change them to face back. And if his legs are facing backwards, we'll change them to face forward. And what that will mean is that when we rapidly switch to between the costumes in a little while, which I'll show you, then it'll look like he's scuttling along. So, let's have a look. Right, so what we need to do now is we'll just click there and click. So once we've got the select tool, click on one of the legs, and here below where you can see that little arrow, if we grab hold of it there, we can change the direction that it's facing. And just do that for each one. On this, oops, well actually I've done it on the top one, but it doesn't matter which one you do it on. There we go. Let's move him forwards. Let's change that one. Let's move that back a bit. There we go. And just do that for all of the legs. There's one. There we go. Obviously, you could take. Oops. Let's not move his whole body. That's not really a good idea. Obviously, you want to take your time with this. Let's have a look. Let's just try that. And now, if you look over here on the right-hand side, when we flip between the costumes, it looks like it's walking, which is great. So, obviously, in our game, we're not going to be wanting to clicking here and here and here and here. We want it to happen automatically. So we could put it inside of this script here. And the way we do that is just go to the looks section and let's just switch to the next costume. There you go. But if we do that, we'll do that at the end actually. Let's put that right at the end. If we put it at the end, there's a slight problem. If we start, look at those legs. They're going a little bit too fast and it just looks a little bit silly. And the reason being is that here, inside of this script, there's no delay. So that happens really, really quickly. Pretty much every 10 milliseconds, which is about 100th of a second, I think. So it keeps going through that script really, really quickly, which is good for all these bits here, because we want to be able to move quickly and turn quickly. But its legs are moving a little bit too quickly for what we want. So what we want to do to get around that is let's just go back to events. Let's get and we'll do another loop this time. Another forever loop. There we go. Yeah, in our when start click. But this time we'll add a delay in between our costume switches, and we'll just do it at 0. Let's try 0.1 second. So instead of switching costumes 100 times a second, if we put it in the bottom of that script, it'll only switch 10 times per second. Let's have a look. Let's see that. Hey, that's not too bad, is it? That's okay. So that looks a little bit better. Obviously, when you're doing your own, if you choose something different to a beetle, if you choose your own animal, then you might want to change. You might want to change the wait time to something bigger or smaller to make it work for you. There we go. That's good. But we're getting somewhere near. Okay. Now, what do we want to do next? Well, now what we want to say is, okay, when our beetle here reaches the right-hand side of the screen, I want him to pop back up to the left-hand side of the screen. And same with the top and the bottom. If it reaches the top of the screen, I want him to pop up at the bottom of the screen. Well, how do we do that? Well, we do that using coordinates. And I want to show you how to do that. Let me just I'm just going to temporarily choose a backdrop. You don't have to do this. But it's just so I can show you. And now, if we go here and choose this backdrop here, there, you can see that it's letting you know what coordinates appear at which part of the screen. So just like in maths, the center of the screen, like on a graph, is 0, 0. The top of the screen, here in the middle, the y coordinate is 180. Bottom of the screen is minus 180, and here on the right hand side the x coordinate is 240 and the x coordinate there on the left is minus 240. So what does this mean? Well, what it means is as my little beetle here is going to the right hand side, his x coordinate is increasing. It's going up, 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 up. In fact, you can see that here where it says x. It'll keep going across, 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 all the way, and its maximum that you could do really is about 240. Let's say 240 there. It'll maybe let you go to 250, something like that. So when his x coordinate goes up to 240, I want to set the beetle's x coordinate now to minus 240. And the same will happen if he goes to the top. If his y coordinate is plus in this case 180, we need to set it to minus 180, and vice versa. So there'll be 4 situations: go from here to here, here to here, or here to here, or here to here. So how do we do that? Well, nice and simple. What we do here is we put another if statement, and this time we need to use a greater than, and we say, okay, let's have a greater than, and we say, okay, if my x position is greater than 240, then let's set my x position. Make sure you choose set and not change by, otherwise that's going to go all crazy. And we'll do minus 240. There you go. So if his x position is greater than 240, set his x position to minus 240. And we'll do the same here. Ooh, slow down. Let's do the same here, but get rid of x for the y position. So if the Beetle's y position is greater, in this instance it's 180. If his y position is greater than 180, then we set his y to minus 180. And we do, so that's if he goes all the way up there or all the way over there. And now we do a similar thing here if for the minus numbers. So this time it's not going to be greater than, because it's going down to minus whatever it is. So here what we say is, okay, if my x position is less than minus 108, x position would be minus 240, then set our x position to plus 240. There we go. And the same thing here. Oops, make sure that doesn't go in there. With the y position. So if his y position is less than minus 280, then set the y position to 180. And now, as you can see, our lovely Beetle here, if we press start, there we go. He walks along. There you go. And if he pops off the top of the screen, he comes back to the bottom. If he pops off the bottom, he goes back to the top. And the same with the left and with the right. If you have any problems with that, just make sure that it says y, whatever, x, y, and you've got set x, set y, set x, set y, and those numbers are correct. There you go. So for the moment, that's pretty much what we need for our Beetle. So what we'll do here is we'll just do, let's get rid of that backdrop now, because you don't need that backdrop. So let's do a new backdrop, and this time we'll go choose paint, and we'll use bitmap mode, and we'll just paint, there it is, paint, and we'll just paint a nice green backdrop there. Hey, there you go. So I've got a nice green backdrop, which is good, and we'll get rid of that backdrop there because we don't get rid of the other two. So we've only got the one backdrop. Brilliant. So now what we're going to do is we've got the most of the Beetle sorted there. What we're going to do is we're going to create ourselves a donut to appear in random places that he's got to go and collect. So let's get started. What we do here is choose a sprite. Again, choose a sprite, and I'm going to choose a donut. Where is my donut? He's hiding. There he is. Good stuff. Donut. So there's my donut. There we go. We'll put him about here, wherever we want to do for the moment. He's going to choose his own place in a minute. There we go. And here we go. What we do this time is we say, okay, when this donut starts, what we're going to do is we're going to hide him. Oh no, we're not going to hide him. We'll leave him. Actually, we'll show him. So we'll show the donut when he hides. We'll show the donut. So if actually we don't need to show, we'll leave show for the moment. When we start, what we'll do is we'll move to a random position. There we go. So when start clicked, go to a random position. And all we need to do here, nice and simple scripts on the donut. All he's going to do is he's going to wait until he is touching the Beetle. So if touching Beetle, if touching, there we go. If touching Beetle, then what we'll do is we'll increase the player's score by 1 and we'll move it to another random location. Now, scores, if we need to keep track of scores, then we're going to need to use a variable. Now, variables are nice and easy to use. All you do is, we'll just get rid of that variable, we don't need my variable. We'll make a new variable, we'll call it score. There you go. And at the start of the game, we're going to set the player's score to 0. So when start clicked, set the player's score to 0. You can see it there, score 0 at the moment. And what we can say here is, okay, if touching Beetle, we'll change the player's score by 1. There we go. Which means every time you touch every time the donut touches the Beetle, it's going to increase the score by 1. And then we'll just move the donut to another random position again. There we go. Brilliant. So that's a nice and easy script. So hopefully now when we press start, there you go. Each time you touch it, there we go, the score increases by 1 and it moves to another random location. Now at the moment the donut's really, really big and the beetle is really, really big. So what we really want to do there is, okay, let's change the size of these. So we go to looks and let's set the size of each of those to about, let's say 40% or 50%. Again, you can choose, let's click back onto the beetle because we want to change his size. And then again, start at the beetle at about 40%. So your beetle should be on 40%, your donut should be on 40% as well. So there you go. Again, choose the size that works for you, whatever you want, but it just makes it a little bit better. You can walk a bit further. Good. So there you go. So we've got a beetle, we've got a donut, we've got a score. Now what we need to do to make our game a little bit more interesting is we're going to add ourselves an enemy. So let's have a go. So let's here, let's go to choose a sprite. Again, we'll choose another sprite. Or you can make your own, you can paint your own if you want, but for this one we'll just choose a sprite. Let's go get my owl. La, 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 la. There he is. Brilliant, there we go. There's my owl, there we go. Good stuff. Now the owl's got a few costumes, 1, 2, 3 costumes, there we go. We'll leave those for the moment. So let's just go back onto the code. So what is my owl going to do? Well, in my game we're going to have more than one owl. So that it starts off, there's no owls, and then every 5 seconds or every 10 seconds or something, we'll add some more owls. So in order to do that, I could, if I wanted, duplicate this sprite and have loads of owl sprites and set lots of delays. But there's a much easier, much more efficient way of doing that, and that's where we use a clone. So let's get started. What we do here is we go, okay, when we start click, again, let's set our size nice and small. Set him to 40%. There we go. So when we start click, we set to 40%. And what we do now is we hide him, because the master owl isn't going to do anything. All he's going to do is hide, and he's going to issue orders every 5 seconds to clone himself. And then when he starts as a clone, which is like the cloned versions of him, they're actually going to start doing stuff. But he's not going to do a lot. So when we start click, set size to we'll leave that for the moment. Set size to 40%. We'll hide, and then what we'll do here is we'll go okay, forever. There we are, forever. In fact, I best get rid of this. Wait 1 second. There you go. Got rid of that. So when we when this starts here, what we're going to do is every sort of 5 seconds or 6 seconds, whatever it's going to be, we're going to generate a clone of ourselves. So what we do here is we drag a wait. That's in the control section. Wait 5 seconds. There we go. And after that 5 seconds is up, what we'll do is we'll create a clone of myself. There we go. Good. Brilliant. So create a clone of myself, which is brilliant. And then so what does that mean? Well, what it means at the moment is that it's going to create a clone of exactly that owl in exactly the same position as it is now, exactly that point, every 5 seconds. So let's just do that. When I start as a clone, what we're going to do now is we're going to move to a random position. So let's go motion, go to random position. So the owl will go to a random spot. Then it will show, because if you remember here, the master owl is hidden. So we'll show. And then what we'll do is once we've shown, we will appear, hopefully. So let's have a look every 5 seconds. Let's get him showing. Brilliant. Excellent. Let's see if we can get that happen again. Let's have a look. There you go. And you can see now that every 5 seconds an owl is going to appear in a random place. It's going to be yet another owl. Now, there is one problem we might have here that you might not see, is that that owl might actually spawn touching the Beetle, which is a little bit unfair, because if it does touch the Beetle, then or it's either touching the Beetle or it's too close, then it's going to be instant game over for the Beetle, which is a bit mean. So what we're going to do to fix that? Well, that's nice and easy. All we do is we do repeat until. Repeat until. We'll put that there below here. What we do is repeat until the distance to the. Let's have a look. So go greater than there. There we go. Distance to. Oh, where's it at? It's there. Sorry, I've picked up the wrong one. It's here. Distance to. It says distance to mouse pointer, but that's not right. Distance to the Beetle. Repeat until the distance to the Beetle is about, let's say, greater than 75. You can mess about with that. You can adjust that value however you want to when you're making your game. There we go. And what we do is, until our distance is greater than 75, what we do is we keep moving to a random position. Now, why have we got random position here and random position here? Why don't we just get rid of the top one? Well, what could happen is that when it's running, if one Beetle is here and then it spawns another one, if the distance to this, if the owl spawns here, if the distance to the Beetle is already greater than 50, it will spawn another owl in exactly the same place as the other owl, facing in the same direction. So in the game you won't actually see another owl. You'll only see one. So now, here we go. Repeat until distance is greater than 75. Go to a random position. And then what we're going to do is once it's got to that, it's finally found somewhere that's far enough away, we'll then go into another loop, start another loop, and this is the loop that makes the owl slowly move towards the Beetle. So what we'll do is we'll point towards the Beetle, because we want our owl that you can't see, but you will do it. Point towards the Beetle. In fact, if I show you that now, let's just move this round. There we go. And you can see that owl now, he's pointing towards the Beetle. If you wait another couple of seconds, in fact, now both the owls are pointing towards the Beetle. And so what we want to say now is, okay, turn towards the Beetle, and if the distance to the Beetle is below a certain amount, and again, you can choose that. So again, this time it's going to be less than. If the distance to, where's that distance thing? Distance to the Beetle is less than 50 or whatever you choose, then we're going to move slowly towards the Beetle. And I'm going to choose about 2 steps because that's slow enough that it won't be too much of a problem. So let's have a look at that. Here we go. Now, there you go. You can see that now. If he gets near enough, he starts to chase him. I might change that to. There he is. Might change that to a slightly bigger distance. Let's try 75. Let's try that again. Again, you want to experiment with this to make it work best for you. So let's have a look. There we go. And now, there you go. See, he's starting to chase him. And if we, there we go. He'll chase him as well. And both of them, any that are near enough, will start to chase. But your Beetle should, if it runs in a straight line, be able to outrun them. There you go. Good. So it's really starting to change into a game now, which is good. Okay, so there's our Beetle and our owl sorted. What we need to do now is go back to the Beetle. Here in our loop here, we're going to do the bit that checks to see if he's touching the owl, and if he does, he needs to die. So let's go to Control. Let's put another one. Make sure it goes in the forever loop and not after it. So if touching the owl, then we need to die. So what does that mean? What does it mean by die? Well, in this game, it's going to be nice and simple. All we're going to do here is we're going to stop this script, because this is no longer, we don't want that script, we don't have to move anymore. So we'll stop the other script in this sprite. That's going to stop this script here, which stops me from moving. We're also going to broadcast game over. Broadcast, that's just up there. Broadcast. Now, a broadcast is simply a message that's sent to every single sprite in the game, every single object in the game, so that you can choose what to do. It doesn't do anything in itself, it just says a message saying, oh, by the way, this has happened. So let's say our new message is game over. So broadcast game over, which is great. And that's okay. Here, we can say, okay, on that one. There we are. Oh no, actually we don't do that there. We'll do it here. What we'll say here is when we receive broadcast game over, which I'm going to use to get rid of the donuts and get rid of the owls. And then all we're going to do now is we're going to tell the user their score. So for 2 seconds, we're going to say, I died. There we go. Duplicate. Right click and duplicate. Oh, I died. You scored. There we go. 2 seconds. Say hello. And now what we're going to do is we'll just go to our variable section here and put that in the say bit there. So the reason we're putting this score variable there is that when he starts talking, when he dies, it's going to say, I died, you scored, and then it's going to say exactly what his score was. And that's because we put a variable in there. We've not typed in 5 or something, because of course when we first run the game, we're not going to know what score he got. So let's just test that. Let's see if that works. Oh, before we do that, actually, go to the donuts. Let's another event. When I receive game over, we're just going to hide. Hide. There we go. Of course, if we're receiving game over and we're hiding, then at the start of the game we're going to need to show, which is good. So when I receive game over, hide, and we'll let's have a look. We'll stop all the other scripts on there as well. Stop other scripts. Stop other scripts on this sprite. There you go. So that'll stop all the stop this script, and we'll do a similar thing for the owl. In fact, actually, what I'll do here, since we're doing the same thing, I'll just drag that over the owl. There you go. And now our owl has already got that script. When I receive game over, hide and stop other scripts in this sprite. So let's get started and let's see if that works. So score 0, 1. There we go. We've got an owl there. Let's touch the owl and then I died. And that's it. You scored 2. There you go. Perfect. And he starts moving again now. I don't know why he starts moving there. Stop other scripts. Oh, that's because it's stopping this bit here as well, isn't it? In that case, what we'll do is after he's finished all of the say things there, just put stop all, and that will stop everything ready to go. So there you go. Nice and easy. What things could you do to improve your game? Well, what we could do here is we can make a sound every time you collect the donuts. Here we can add a sound by just clicking on the sound. Bite. Let's try that one. So hopefully now it will play the bite sound. Let's have a look. Yep. Okay, that's it. Good. Brilliant. Yep. So it's making the bite sound. So just play the bite sound. You can add something yourself. I'm not when he dies, so you can play a sound there. You could also add music over to the top if you want to do that. But there you go. So there's a nice, easy tutorial. I hope you found that useful. If you do like my tutorials, do make sure that you subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscribe link, which is probably down here somewhere. And if you have any problems whatsoever, just drop me a comment and I will give you help if I can. Thank you very much.